In typical Leafs fashion, it's the dead of summer. No insiders are making any noise. Their phones are away, and the Toronto Maple Leafs go ahead and drop an absolute bomb on the NHL world. And yes, they did it through Auston Matthews' Twitter account. What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. Yes, the biggest news for Leafs fans comes out today, and it is the talk of the NHL as of right now, as their star player, Auston Matthews, the franchise center, has committed to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs via a tweet that he sent out before anybody else had it, signing a 4-year extension for $13.25 million starting after this upcoming season. Announced that here today, so we're going to get into that, what this means for the Leafs, what this means contract-wise, whether we like it, whether we don't. As well, we'll get into some Nylander contract talk and whether or not this affects him and how it might affect him moving forward. But before we do, I want to remind people, today's video is brought to you by rentals.ca. They are Canada's largest apartment hunting network. You can rent apartments, houses, and condos across the entire country from coast to coast, talking Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Vancouver, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Halifax, just to name a few. You can find this over on their website. It is clean and easy to use. I recently moved to a new apartment, and the first place that I started looking when I was trying to find in the area, the price range, the bedrooms that we were looking for was rentals.ca. They are Canada's largest apartment hunting network, so make sure to check that out. The link is in the description below in this video, so go and check them out if you are looking for, again, an apartment, a house, or a condo. But enough of that. Let's get into the contents of today's video, and we will start with the biggest and most important news. Auston Matthews signs a 4-year contract extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So let's take it through the timeline of events for today. It starts off with what was a very, very cryptic tweet from Auston Matthews coming out at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time saying, "I feel fortunate to continue this journey as a Maple Leaf in front of the best fans in hockey. I will do everything I can to help us get to the top of the mountain. Go Leafs, go. Hashtag Leafs forever." Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I saw this, it got sent to me. I was sitting here at my desk doing work, and all of a sudden someone sends me this tweet and says, "I think you have something to talk about today." I said, "What are you talking about?" Click on this tweet, and immediately I start reading the replies, and people have no idea. Or is he just sitting here trying to put the fan base at ease? Because we've seen some videos coming out. We've seen articles. We've seen people on the radio, like I did the video the other day about Jeff Oneill talking about, hey, maybe this means he's gone because he hasn't signed. He hasn't said anything. Nothing's happened. Maybe he's just trying to put the fan base at ease. This is his agent doing a PR work. Well, boy, was I wrong, because coming out at 5:09 p.m. was this tweet by the Toronto Maple Leafs. 4 more for 34, and a photo of Auston Matthews saying extended. And then this was immediately followed up by one of the insiders, or a few of the insiders, but one of the ones I pulled here, Elliotte Friedman, confirming Auston Matthews 4 by 13.25 in extension. And this image from Elliotte Friedman here came exactly 1 minute after the Leafs tweeted out that they had extended him. I'm not going to lie, I think this is a pretty cool way to go about it. It's not often that you see that players get to announce news about things themselves, whether it be via podcasts, articles, whether they're on shows or calling their friends or whatever. Typically, news breaks via an insider before they even have the chance to do so. And yet here today, Auston Matthews was the one who got to put it out before even the Leafs announced that he was re-signing with this team. And I'm talking about 15 minutes ahead. Auston Matthews tweeted out and put anything to rest, and basically he said, yeah, all right, calm down. I love being here. I want to be here. And then the Leafs come out and say, we've extended him. So that's kind of where that started. That's what went on. Let's get into the contract a little bit, because I know that there's a lot of people out there. If you read through Twitter right now, it is a cesspool of just nonsense. People saying overpaid, underpaid, short term, too long, should have, like, what is he thinking? Why would he sign this? Whatever it may be, why wouldn't he wait? Here's my thoughts on the whole thing. 13.25, brilliant contract in terms of AAV for a guy like Auston Matthews. He can put up 50 plus goals. We've seen him put up 60 in a season. Last year he has his worst season in the NHL and he puts up 40 goals. Like, this guy is a generational maybe generational is the wrong word. He's a franchise talent. He's a franchise center. He's going to be your number one center. And $13.25 million when you're expecting the cap to go up as much as they are expecting it to go up, even next season, jumping to possibly $87.25 million. That's pretty good for them to be able to get him in. That's great value. Here's what I didn't like as much, and I want to hear people's thoughts in the comments. So as you're watching this video, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that we can hear everything you guys are thinking. You guys get notified every time videos just like this one come out, as well as when we start doing live streams again. You don't want to miss any of that. But also let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the term, the AAV, all that, because here are mine. Am I happy with the 4 years? I'm not ecstatic, but I'm not pissed off. And here's what I mean. We continued to hear reports that he was looking for a 2 to 3 year deal. They were looking for short term. They were looking for a lot of money. They wanted him to be able to get back to the opportunity where he could go back to free agency once the cap had gone up and then hit them again for another huge cap, whether it was here in Toronto or whether it was going to the free agent market. So you get to the 4 years. Feels a little bit better than 2 or 3. This also does take him until he's 31 years old, which upon reflecting on it and thinking about it, it is a little bit better than had it been. I mean, you're not looking at taking this guy to 36, 37 years old. You're locking him in until 31, and then you can kind of reevaluate what has he done, where have things gone, what's the cap at, and then you can look forward from that point on. But here is where things are a little bit frustrating. There are 3 contracts in NHL history. 3 contracts in the history of the NHL where players have signed a $10 million AAV or higher for less than a 7-year term. Those 3 contracts: Auston Matthews' first contract, Mitch Marner's first contract, Auston Matthews' second contract. Those are your 3 contracts in NHL history where players have signed $10 million plus AAV for less than 7 years. Seen a theme there. 2 guys, 3 contracts, 1 team. 1 team has signed these guys to these massive deals and only gotten them on a short-term deal. It's not the end of the world. This is what they do in the NBA. Short contracts, you move through. At some point here, I predict that the NHL in general is going to move to that point, not because of what the players are going to start to do, but I imagine at some point here, there's likely going to be some movement in the CBA to start to push towards shorter term contracts. We saw it go down where you could sign basically unlimited deals, where you saw Kovalchuk sign for like the rest of his life. And then the NHL was like, okay, this is a little sketchy. And then you start to drop things down a little bit. You get to the 8-year max where you could re-sign with the same team for 8 years. But if you're going to go somewhere else, you can only sign 7 years. So we started to see things cut down. I imagine at some point here, we might see a shift to like 5-6 year deals where you could sign 6 with the same team, 5 with someone else, because it gives the owners a little bit more flexibility. It also gives players somewhat, if you're looking to be able to move on, where they could just say, hey, this is the max. This is all I could do. So you can move things around that way. I don't know if they're going to be the biggest proponents for it, but the biggest stars in the league, they might like that a little bit more than guys who are on more depth deals like Pierre Engvall re-signing in New York with the Islanders. Maybe he's not going to like that as much because now he's going to get all his guaranteed money and it's going to be cut down by 3 years. So you might see some shifts in those. But what I'm going to say is 6 years would have been preferable. If you get the guy for 6 years, takes him till he's 33 years old, you get a little bit of extra juice out of him, and you probably don't feel as bad. Because the reality is, at 31, with the cap going up as much as it is, if he continues to produce, he might sign another 4-year deal, and it might hit you for about $15, $16 million, depending on where the state of the NHL and their revenue is at that point. So you might see something there. The other thing about it, more than anything else, is the message that it sends. Yes, he signed the 4 years, which obviously makes a lot of people, fans, players on the team, people in the organization feel a little bit more comfortable today than maybe they felt yesterday or this morning when they woke up. But the problem is he's still only committed for 4 years. McKinnon committed long-term. Makar commits long-term. Rantanen commits long-term. All the guys in Tampa commit long-term when they sign these deals with these teams, and yet Toronto seems to be the only team that can't figure out a way to sign these guys for these long-term deals. Maybe this is just the way that the NHL is going to trend. Maybe things will start to change, and these guys are the only ones with the stones to do it. Maybe that's just the cards that the Leafs got dealt in terms of what the personalities are on this team. Maybe that says something about why they haven't won. I'm not really sure. We'll continue to find out here, but we get him for 13.25. He has one more year left on his current contract and then 4 more years after the fact, so we'll take that. He does now become the highest paid player in the NHL by $725,000. McKinnon at 12.6, McDavid at 12.5. You know for a fact that when McDavid gets up for his next deal, he will be the highest paid player. So, I mean, as far as things go there, the money itself, I really don't think that this is an overpayment. I think that in reality, you should probably be paid more. He probably could have gotten more money. It is what it is. We move forward. Happy to get him under contract. Happy to be able to keep him here and look forward to next season without having to worry about the burden of Auston Matthews. Is this guy going to leave? And also, by the way, for all those people who continued to comment, he's going back to Arizona. He's going to LA. He's going to the Rangers. He's going to Chicago. He's not. He's staying in Toronto Maple Leaf, at least for 5 more years, barring a trade. So we'll see what happens there. Happy to have him under contract. Now, next thing we'll get to, because I think that this one's going to be an interesting one, especially considering what we saw earlier today. What does this mean for William Nylander and his next contract? Well, for those who didn't see, William Nylander was on the 32 Thoughts podcast. I did not get the chance to go and listen to that. I will do an entire video on it as we get closer or as we move forward. Unfortunately, I will be away this weekend, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But William Nylander on there, I did get some quotes out of it. He said, essentially, he doesn't know why everyone's talking about it. He's not worried going into this season. I think that this kind of just personifies William Nylander. If you saw Mitch Marner come out and say this, I think people would say, yeah, BS. There's no way you feel like that because we all know how Mitch has handled things here. We've seen kind of some of the pressure get to him. We've seen it get through his family, and we've heard all the rumblings come out when he's been up for contract discussions. Nylander really doesn't seem to care. Whether it was looking back at his last deal that he had, whether it's how he handles things in the playoffs, how he handles things in slumps, it's a water off a duck's back. Like, he takes it in stride. He continues to move forward. I highly doubt for him this contract's looming over his head. If he's sitting there with his agent saying, hey, we'll figure it out at the end of the year, I don't think he's really too stressed about it. So for William Nylander, I do think that he's telling the truth here. Now, this is the flip side and the behind the scenes. And this is pure speculation, but I figured I'd give it to you guys, and then you can also let me know in the comments your thoughts on this. William Nylander said that he would take less money to play here if he saw the other guys do it. He's also the only one who's publicly said he would sign the long-term deal and sign for an 8-year deal here in Toronto. I don't necessarily think personally that Matthews signing this 4 by $13.25 million deal screams to William Nylander, I'm taking less money to do this. He just became the highest paid player in the NHL, and he's getting it on a 4-year deal. Nylander said he would take the 8. He said he would take less. And then he looks at his companion on the team who goes out and says, I'm going to be the highest paid player by a decent chunk here. McKinnon said, I'm going to be the highest paid player, and he came in $100,000 per year higher than McDavid. Matthews said, I'm going to be the highest paid player, and he came in $725,000 per year higher than McKinnon. So you see a little bit of the jump that you go through there. Plus taking the short-term deal, whereas McKinnon, long-term deal. Right? There's some differences there in the contracts, the way they handled things. I worry a little bit that Nylander might sit here and say, dude, you kind of just got the bag. You kind of secured yourself with a big contract in terms of big money for the next 4 years, and then you're going to walk yourself to free agency where the cap goes up again, and you could potentially get even more. Why would I not sit here and wait until the cap is announced at $87 million next season, and then I could just go get even more money? And he's obviously not going to pass McDavid or McKinnon, but he could look at Marner and say, well, yeah, Marner gets 99 points in the regular season. That's great. He didn't break 100. He doesn't score as many goals as I do. And oh, by the way, I'm the only one who shows up for the playoffs. So that might be a bargaining chip for William Nylander. I start to feel more and more like he's not going to sign a contract before the season, nor during it. I think that this is going to be something that we get to at trade deadline and sit there and say, where's the team at? What's going on? How important is William Nylander to what's happening right now? Are there major needs on this team outside of scoring? where do we go from here, and then deal with the William Nylander contract, and then maybe you just wait through to the end and he has to be an own rental. It's entirely possible. He could also get traded when you get to the draft or before free agency, and you can get some small amount of assets back so that some team can go and sign him for 8 years. It's entirely possible that that's in William Nylander's future, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below as well. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time a video just like this one comes out, as well as when our live streams start back. You don't want to miss it. Leafs fans, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. As always, look forward to seeing you guys very soon. Keep believing.